What's going on, guys? Alex here with TFL, and welcome back to a series we're restarting called TFL Reviews, where I go and dive into some automotive related tech products and kind of show you what's the good and the bad with all of them. So today we're looking at tire inflators. We air down a lot when we go off-road, and when you're done on the trail for the day, you always need a way to air your tire back up. And most of the time we rely on gas stations, but we wanted to see if something like this, affordable tire inflator, can actually get you back up to the correct pressure and save you a trip from the gas station. So let's find out. All right, so we're actually testing 3 of these today, and I didn't show you this first DeWalt one in the opening shot because it's big and heavy and I couldn't hold it, but here's the 3. We have the Eastvolt 12-volt tire inflator. This guy is $45. Then moving on to the DeWalt, this is a little bit of a different concept. This is actually a jump pack, but it has a tire inflator built into it. This is $150. And then moving over here, this is the Ryobi 18-volt 1+ lithium-ion cordless high-pressure inflator tool. Quite a long name, but this is $100 for the tool, the battery, and the charger. And just to be completely clear, none of these were sent to us for free. Both of these products right here, TFL paid for, and then this is actually my personal tire inflator that I use when I do track days on my motorcycle. So not paid to say anything good about all these. We're gonna do an honest test and see which one's best. All right, so I just want to explain the test I'm going to be running on all 3 of these compressors. It's going to be an identical test on all 3. So I want to bring the tires down to 25 PSI. That's a good pressure for going off-road. So we'll bring them down to 25 PSI using this. This is my Motion Pro tire pressure gauge. It's a pretty nice one. It's about $100 or a little bit north of that. But this is accurate to 0.6 of a PSI. So super accurate. We'll be able to get a good reading on this. So we'll take them down to 25, hook up one of the inflators, bring it back up to 50 and time it, see how long it takes to get to 50. And then all 3 of these actually have a built-in gauge. So we'll use this and check to see how accurate the gauges are on all 3 of those products. There we go, 25 PSI, ready to start the first test. All right, so I'm gonna go in price order. I'm assuming that the more expensive you get, the better results you're gonna get. So start with the cheapest one. This is the Eastvolt 12-volt tire inflator. According to Eastvolt, max pressure this can do is 150 PSI, which is pretty impressive. It has a 1.5 amp hour battery and just removes like that. You charge it right there. It's got built-in indicator lights right on the battery to show you when it's done charging. You've even got a little headlight up front, and this is not only to be used for tires, so it does give you some extra fittings for if you want to inflate, sports balls or rafts, anything like that. But anyway, there's a screen on the back right here that gives you battery level. You can also change the unit. We're going to leave it on PSI, and I'm going to set it to 50 PSI because this apparently has an automatic shutoff feature. So we'll set it to 50. I'll hook up the air. Let me get my timer going. All right, so I am set to 50 PSI. Pull the trigger, start the timer, and let it run. See what happens. Now, some of you might remember that I actually already did a test very similar to this, and funny enough, it was also using a Land Rover, but those were all using compressors that hooked directly up to the battery terminals on the battery under the hood. We also were using an onboard compressor that was built into the trunk and super high powered from ARB. So this test is a little bit different, just using the battery power, and I don't know, they might end up dying halfway through, especially if we use a ton of power on one wheel. You might be really stretching it to get 4 tires inflated at the end of the day. But if battery works, I think that's an easier solution than hooking up battery terminals to the battery under your hood. So cross my fingers that hopefully we get good results out of battery power. And also, just in case you're curious, I left all 3 of these overnight on the charger and pulled them off at the exact same time. So they should all be fully charged at their max capacity, ready to go. All right, so 12 minutes and 29 seconds later, the Eastvolt tire inflator shut off, completely died. So couldn't get us back up to 50. I think it got pretty close though. Let's see exactly what pressure it got us up to. 46.2 PSI, and I think when it shut off, it was reading 45.5. So seems like the gauge is relatively accurate. Didn't get us all the way up to 50. So can't even do one tire. And yeah, you need like 4 of these with 4 or 5 batteries if you wanted to do this in any reasonable amount of time. And yeah, not a great solution for truck and big SUV tires, I think we found out. Let's air back down to 25 PSI and try the Ryobi. All right, there we go, 25 PSI. Okay, now to test out the Ryobi, and I'm really rooting for this because like I said, I own this personally. This one is $100, although you can just buy the tool alone for 30 bucks or get it as a set with the battery and the charger. You can also put their bigger batteries on here as well, but this is a 2 amp hour battery, so a little bit bigger than the 1.5 amp hour battery in the EastVolt we just tested. Just like the EastVolt, this is not only used for tires, so you do have other fittings for inflating other things as well, but same deal. We've got a little gauge on the back. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have an auto shut-off feature, but I've got tape. So instead of sitting here and holding the trigger down the whole time, I'm just gonna tape it shut. That way I don't have to sit here for as long as it takes to try and air back up to 50 PSI. So hopefully we actually make it to 50 this time. Let's give it a go. All right, and about to start the timer. So pull the trigger, start the timer. Let it run. Boom, 50 PSI. And now it's dropping back down a little, but it did hit 50 in 12 minutes and 8 seconds. So definitely got all the way up according to the tool to 50 in a lower amount of time that it took for the first one we tested to completely die. But now let's see how accurate that gauge is built in on the Ryobi. 52 PSI, so it actually overfilled it a little bit, went above what I wanted it to, so not a bad result. I wouldn't be too confident just having this and needing to fill up 4 tires. I'm not quite sure it could even do another full tire, but the good news is these batteries are easy to get. Ryobi is Home Depot's brand, so you can go into any Home Depot and get a bunch of batteries for this and just kind of stack them up. One thing I don't love though is there's no battery indicator, so I have no idea where I'm at. It makes it a little bit stressful, whereas the first tire inflator we tested actually had a battery indicator on it. It wasn't super accurate and dropped from 2 bars to 0 and died within a couple of minutes, but still, it'd be nice to have a battery indicator. Anyway, let's air down one more time and go check out the DeWalt. All right, and we're back down to 25 PSI once again, so let's try the DeWalt. All right, and right here is the DeWalt DXAE-J14 peak amp portable jump starter with tire inflator. I needed my notes to get that name down because it's super obscure. But anyway, 120 max PSI, so a little bit interesting that it's actually lower than the 150 max PSI on the other 2 units. This also is much heavier. This uses a lead acid battery versus the lithium ion packs in the other 2 inflators. And that's because it's a jump starter, so to be expected. But you've got some cool features on here, USB ports so you can charge your phone up. Like I said, you've got the leads for the battery jumper, air inflator in the back, and even a little light here. So if you're doing stuff at night, you've got a little LED to keep you keep your eyes seeing what you're doing. And then also this charges just using an extension cord. So you plug an extension cord in right here, run the other end of the wall, and that's how you're gonna charge this up. But anyway, let's pull out the tire inflator here and get this going. All right, so I'll hook the hose from the DeWalt up to the same wheel and tire. This one actually threads on versus the other 2, which have a little lever. And then over here, we can see the screen. This also has a built-in gauge, battery indicator, and a automatic shutoff feature. So I'll set it to 50. I'll get my stopwatch going here. All right, and I'll just hit air and start the timer. There we go. It finally shut off at 29 minutes and 41 seconds. I just told Case that if it gets to 30 minutes, I'm cutting it off. But it did it in just under 30. That is a terrible result considering that the Ryobi did it in just over 12 minutes. So, wow. The DeWalt sucked, and it's the most expensive and probably the most well-known brand. But let's see if the gauge on the DeWalt is accurate at all. So once again, hook up the Motion Pro tire pressure gauge. 52.9. So the Ryobi was about 2 PSI over and the DeWalt was about 3 PSI over. So it did manage to get one tire aired back up, and according to the box, still has 3 bars of battery. I don't know how much I trust that, but man, that was painfully slow. All right, so I think what we've learned is that if you're going to go off-roading and air down your tires, you shouldn't rely on battery power to air them back up. The Eastvolt didn't get even one tire all the way back up to 50 PSI before it died. The Ryobi, no idea what the battery life is left, but still took 12 minutes, over 12 minutes, so you'd be there quite a while, at least 40 minutes if you're trying to do it with this. Good news with the Ryobi is that these are replaceable and they're easy to find. Whereas the Eastvolt, I tried searching for some extra batteries online and they weren't as easy to find, whereas these you can just pick up at the hardware store. And then finally the DeWalt, a cool concept, maybe something you want to keep in your truck just in case you're in an emergency and you need to give yourself a jump or throw a little bit of air into it, but for 30 minutes for one tire, that is just terrible. And yeah, I'm not gonna wait around 2 hours to air up my tires. I'm either gonna go to the gas station and use what they have there, or if you really need to, rely on one of the compressors that I reviewed already that hooks up to the battery terminals. I know I talked about that a little bit earlier. Those are also super slow, but at least you know that your batteries won't die. But honestly, your best option is either going to the gas station, or if you're gonna be airing down constantly, probably get some sort of high quality onboard air compressor. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to head on over to TFL Car, Truck, Off-Road, and Bike.com so you don't miss any news in the automotive world, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.